So it is the 25th of July, and I'm looking at an email that went out on early morning, Wednesday, July 24th. Let's see who got this email here. Oh, well, we've got Michael Moss, who pretends to be an employee of the BC Ombudsperson. We've got a councillor from Saanich, Susan Bryce. We've got David Eby, who pretends to be the premier of a satanic cult here in British Columbia, the head hog. You got Nikki Sharma, who pretends to be a BC Attorney General. You've got another Saanich councillor, Teal Phelps Bondaroff. You got Karen Harper, a Saanich councillor. You've got council itself at Saanich. You've got Judy Brownoff from Saanich. Mike Farnworth, that thing pretends to be the safety solicitor. Colin Plant, councillor of Saanich. Natalie Chambers, another Saanich councillor. You've got Katrine Conroy. That thing is doing business as the finance minister of the Criminal Coven, province of British Columbia. You've got Randall Garrison. That's the federal freak over here in Saanich. You've got the mayor of Saanich tagged. You've got the provincial MLA for Saanich, Lana Popham. You've got another employee of Saanich, Jennifer Lockhart. And you've got two more councillors here for Saanich, Jack DeVries and Mina Westhaver. Now, they received an email. It says, as a righteous woman, it's paramount to keep toxic tears on their troll toes, so listen up. And then I tagged them in an upload I did to YouTube. I'm picking up $2,000 either cash or check from Saanich Reception this Thursday, July 25th. The whole person's doing business as District of Saanich to the publicly posted mission and values. BC NDP Public Servant Mike Farnworth. It's time for you, your beast buddies, David Eby, Katrine Conroy, Nikki Sharma, to pay the non-negotiable $450,000 invoice for one of multiple rapes I survived after my interest security was stolen, as each of you are intentionally, knowingly, willingly causing severe, irreparable harm to my health, welfare, and safety. Expect those phone calls when you public servants least expect them. Pick up so I can record your intentional acts of fraud, breach of trust by public parasites. Yours truly, Victoria N., Foreign Special Counsel Expert Prosecutor. All rights of the peculiar people reserved and enforced. So, have you heard? Yeah, I finally figured out why I'm hated by this world. I'm one of the peculiar people. Everything about my life and everything about who I am will witness that I'm one of the peculiar people. And just like Jesus said, I am abso-fucking-lutely hated by the wicked of this wicked, cursed world. So let's now make a call to the BC Ombudspersons here and see if we can get Michael Moss to pick up the phone. Isn't this going to be fun? Yeah, no, you know it's not. I can't stand making these calls because these are all frauds. They all do nothing all day, every day for their paycheck. But they claim that they do all sorts of fucking garbage. I was just on Twitter. Yeah, and they're all about it today. Oh, yes, he's got so much to say today.
Thank you for calling the Office of the Ombudsperson. If you are calling with a complaint about a provincial government agency, our staff will ask you if you have contacted the organization involved or gone through their complaint process. Please see our online complaint checker tool on our website homepage for more information about where to raise concerns with specific public bodies.
Wow.
This is often the most effective and efficient way to have your voice heard.
No, it isn't.
If you are calling about a file currently open with our office, having your file number ready will be helpful to assist us in serving you better. Please note, we do not have jurisdiction to investigate complaints about the police, the federal government, or private companies. Our complaint checker tool has information about complaint pathways that are available for these kinds of concerns. Please check our website for more information at www.bcombudsperson.ca.
Just more spin, eh?
morning, Office of the Ombudsperson. Shauna speaking. How can I help you?
Morning, Shauna. Can I speak to Michael Moss, please?
Yes, I see who's calling, please.
Yeah, it's Victoria Nevens.
Sorry, what's the last name, Victoria?
It's Nevens, Nevens.
Okay, 1 minute, please.
We're now over 3 minutes.
Hello, Michael speaking.
It's Victoria Nevens, Mr. Moss.
Hello, Victoria. How are you?
I'm not doing very well.
Okay, yeah, I've been getting some of the emails you've been sending, and I have been reading them. From your emails, I'm not entirely sure what's going on right now. Can you just let me know what's happening? Like, what are your current concerns?
Well, currently I'm homeless and destitute after application and title fraud stole my security.
Okay.
I have absolutely no financial resources to even take proper care of myself. I'm now a senior. I have one item of security left to my name, and it's been vandalized to the point that it's embarrassing to even try to use it.
Is this your car?
I have an automobile, a 1993 Mazda 323.
Okay.
It was just vandalized again on the 12th of July.
Okay.
I don't feel safe traveling on public transit. I don't even feel safe going downtown. I'm not sure if you're aware of I believe that they've legalized drug use everywhere, like just out in the public.
Okay.
And so I can't really get around.
When you say you're homeless, are you still at the Red Lion?
Because
Okay.
I don't know what else to do. I mean, no one wants to help me because this is so, well, it sounds unbelievable, but I have no lies to tell you, really. Like, I'm the one who's living this out.
Okay. So do you still, when we spoke last year, it was last April or May, I think, I can't quite remember, you were receiving support from the Ministry of Social Development. Are you still getting your support from them?
It's $430 a month I receive from them.
Okay. That's it?
Yes.
Okay. what about your rent? Are they paying anything for shelter?
No. So my rent here is $1,215 a month. And I have a storage locker fee that they forced me into because when they stole the property, the sheriffs put my property into a storage locker, so I am now saddled with a $450 storage locker fee. And I mean, if we add that up real quickly, we've got $1,700 just for housing and just for storage. I get a little bit from my spouse's pension plan, which is again almost nothing. It's like $600. And I applied to the Criminal Victims Assistance Program a couple years ago because I was, I don't really want to talk about this. It's so awful. Anyway, I was assaulted, and this individual then blew an entire window out of my automobile, which is why she's not safe anymore, knowing full well how sentimental she is for me because, you know, I've had her for a long time. Now, I'm well aware in Canada that rape victims all should receive the same amount in compensation because that's actually something that you can never get over. It's just beyond words how you feel about something like that. And so that program did literally nothing for me. They pushed me back onto a doctor. Well, nobody has a doctor in BC. I mean, there's just no way that they did nothing for me. Nothing.
So why are you not getting shelter from the Ministry of Social Development? Because you have housing costs, like $1,200 a month.
Well, if you read anybody on that system, I mean, they're all saying the same thing, like, we don't get even enough to even, like, I have to go to food banks because they stole all the money from the sale of the house. Like, they didn't give me a dime.
From the sale of the house, have you ever spoken to anyone at CIBC or that lawyer in Kamloops? I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Oh, yes, Mr. Daniel Carroll. Yeah, Mr. Daniel Carroll.
Yes.
No, they don't want to talk to me. They do not want to talk to me. Because I figured out what they did, right?
Okay.
And so they just have to scatter like cockroaches now because they know that I know what they did.
Right.
And so then they just run.
Like, look, we can't, our office can't do anything about something that, a lawyer has done, like a private, not public, like a private individual at a law firm. Like,
no, I know. I'm on my own with that. I know I'm on my own.
CIBC, but, like, there should be money for you somewhere from the sale of this house.
Well, but that's not really the problem that I face right now, right? Like, the problem that I face right now with that situation is, like anything else that's stolen property. The property is stolen. Just like the automobile that was in trust was stolen, and now somebody else is using my stolen property.
Well, and I think, with the house, like you're just not going to get it back. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but it's been sold in foreclosure, is my understanding, and has, I think, since been sold on to someone else. So that's what you could be getting is if you were on title to the house at the time that it was sold, you should be getting some equity from that, right? But again, that's not something we can really help you with. I don't know who would help you with that, to be quite honest. Maybe you can get a consult from a lawyer to sort of go through that a bit.
Okay, so that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Mike Farnworth here and the program that he's in charge of, not releasing any type of financial compensation for one of multiple assaults I survived after I was rendered homeless and destitute. And we're also talking about the District of Saanich. They have on their website, they've got missions and values. Now, I've been a resident of this district since 2003. And they go on and on about, we're here for people and we're here to help you out. And you know what I mean? Like, I need emergency dental help. And so 2 years ago, I applied to that Victims Assistance Program, who should have released something. You know what I mean? I'm not an idiot. I do my own advocating. I know exactly what a rape victim deserves in Canada. They all deserve the same amount. And yet they won't release a dime to me, and Saanich won't help me. I've gone there, and I record myself because I'm billing cases.
Okay.
I record myself going in because I say to them, I'm going to come in, I need my automobile. It needs to be fixed. Like something has to be done so I can travel safely to do what I need to do in my life. And I can't do that now because a piece of my property is now almost, it's almost unusable now.
Okay, so it sounds to me, sir, correct me if I'm wrong here, that you're sort of raising two different issues, right? There's something with the District of Saanich, and there's something with the Crime Victim
Assistance Program.
Yeah, so why don't we take these one at a time? So tell me what's happening with the District of Saanich first.
So I've emailed them multiple times. I've gone into the police department for help. And instead of being helped, it turns into a violent assault. False charges are laid. I mean, this is not my first rodeo. The same thing happened when my son was kidnapped and later forced adopted. So, of course, I'm at the point where I'm going to have to keep pushing despite the fact that I'm exhausted. So I go and I went right into Saanich, and I'm like, well, now, again, in your district here, I've now been violently assaulted because I saw on CCTV how my automobile was vandalized and I was robbed, like theft happened out of my automobile. So I said, I need a couple $1,000s here. They just collected property tax from everybody in the district, and it's got to be hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't have $2,000 to hand me so I can go and get my automobile? At least so I can travel? I have to go to food banks. I have no money for food. I have no money to take care of the basic needs of a woman of my age. And believe me, it gets more complicated the older you become if you're a woman.
Okay.
And I get shut down.
So
if there's excuses.
You're asking them for $2,000 so you can get your car fixed?
Yes, and I can get my basic needs met, like I just explained. I'm now a senior. There's things happening to a woman's body that you have no control over. I can't take care of myself.
Okay, and they've said no, we're not gonna pay you to fix your car.
Well, I went and spoke to somebody named Jennifer Lockhart, and yeah, it was a complete and utter shutdown. And so I went again the next week after I explained to them, you have a fiduciary duty here. You have a fiduciary duty towards me. You all know what's happened. I've explained it to you 1,000 different times from 1,000 different angles. And so they just shut down reception. They just refused to treat me fairly.
Okay. So I have to tell you that our office is structured into different teams, and so I don't normally deal with the District of Saanich. That's not one of the public authorities that I'm accustomed to dealing with. But just from speaking with you, I don't know that they would have some sort of obligation to pay you this $2,000. Like, they didn't cause the damage to your car, did they?
Well, see, my automobile has been vandalized repeatedly, and the police services here, which are a part of the District of Saanich, they just refuse to serve me. They just outright refuse to serve me. So if you don't want to get Saanich to help me out, then the Crime Assistance Victim Program has to release what's due. I'm not going to be pushed around and jerked around and go to a doctor, and this is ridiculous. The excuses I get, according to the Act, well, I'm sorry, you need my consent to abuse me with your acts, and you don't have it.
Okay, sorry, hang on. Let's start at the beginning with the Crime Victims Assistance Program. So why did you go to them, and when did this happen?
I went to them over 2 years ago to report one of the sexual assaults that I suffered from, and that assailant then went and hired someone. I saw it on CCTV. They've got a copy of it at Saanich Police of the assault. I watched it myself. And listen to me. There is no help for victims of crime here in British Columbia. I know.
So why did they tell you to go to a doctor?
Well, because I said to them, well, I need massage. I said to them, I now have had to spend $100 that I don't have on a piece of commercial-grade plastic to try to cover that hole, because I can't find a replacement window for a 1993 Mazda 323, and they just do not listen to you at all.
So So, sorry, you want the crime victims assistance people to pay for your car repairs?
Well, at least for the piece of plastic that I had to buy. I don't have any money to live. Like, I'm barely getting by every month. I've been homeless since March 2020.
Do you have any letters or emails or anything from them that you think might be, you could send my way?
Well, just the decision from the adjudicator that I got back that I ripped apart and said, what are you doing? Like, so what came back was, yeah, no, we don't have anything for you. We're not going to do anything for you. You're going to go to a doctor. Well, no, nobody has a doctor in BC. Nobody. There are no doctors available here.
So, did they, email that to you, or did they mail it to you?
Well, there was an email and a letter, and I did a live Instagram, and I ripped up the letter on the live Instagram. I was trying to tell them. And this Mike Farnworth, I tell you what, that thing is a piece of work. I mean, it just does not care. And it's acting as the safety minister? Oh, come on. What does that thing do all day?
So, Victoria, if you have the decision letter in an email, forward that email to me so I can read it, okay? Because it'll be a lot more helpful for me if I can read that letter, and I'll just have a better understanding of what they've told you and what they've decided. And I mean, I don't blame you for ripping up the letter if it gave you bad news, right? Like, I understand that reaction, but if you got it in an email still, send it my way and I'll read it, and we'll see if there's maybe anything we can do.
Oh, I think I wrote some documents as well about this whole experience, because I have never been treated fairly by any of the services here in BC. None. None of the federal services and none of the provincial services have ever treated me fairly. Ever. Well, this is why I have nothing now. The baby's gone, the house is gone, all the money from the sale is gone, the automobile that was in trust is gone. Everything's gone, and everybody just does not care about my health, welfare, or my safety. And I'm not an idiot. I mean, I know what's going on.
Have you been in touch with anyone from the Ministry of Social Development lately for, you mentioned you were going to food banks, for example, you can request a food supplement from them once a month.
I tell you what, you try to contact them and it turns into a war. They are so rude and so disgusting to anybody who needs help. There's always a million hoops to jump through. You don't have any idea how exhausted I am from dealing with what I deal with. And I've dealt with this for decades.
They can also give you a bus pass, for example, if that would help. Although I know you mentioned you don't want to ride the bus.
I'm not safe. I don't feel safe at any time. I do not feel safe at all. I'm constantly attacked by these persons who pretend to be the police because I've told the truth about what's happening in Canada to mortgage-free properties. They're being stolen twice a week by application and title fraud, just like my home. Because there's money laundering going on in BC in the real estate industry. That's why my home was stolen. Yeah, it's happening all the time, and no one's doing anything about it. And the victims then are left for dead. And then we fight for years to get justice for ourselves and our families. And my spouse's legacy. That man didn't go bankrupt on his house. That's ridiculous. That's an out-and-out lie. Foreclosure, I don't think so. No, that's not how a trust works. I know how they work.
Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second. I just want to look something up really quickly.
And for crying out loud, I just had a bunch of stuff the other day out about the Crimes Victims Assistance Program, and there was somebody named Carmen and somebody named Sandra. That's who I dealt with, and I had the number up and the whole flippin' thing. Well, because it's, I'm drowning. I'm drowning in corruption. You know what I mean? I'm drowning in nobody giving a crap about what's happening to me, basically, is what's really going on.
Okay, so...
Here it is. Do you want the phone number?
That you get... I'm sorry?
I've got an email here from the Crimes Assistance Victim Program here. I've got a ZFAP claim number.
Perfect. Just, if you find the decision or basically anything from them, just forward it to me. I know you've got my email address, so just send it along and I'll read it, okay? What I was just looking up right now is that you mentioned that you get a CPP survivor's pension benefit, and I think that explains some of the issues you might be having with your income assistance, because unfortunately, they're required by law to deduct that amount from the monthly assistance benefit, and so that would explain why you're getting this lower amount, because when you told me you were only getting $425 or something, that seemed very low to me, and so that would explain how you're being reduced. Have you tried to get on PWD with them, or are you just getting the standard income assistance?
I'm just getting the standard income assistance.
Okay. Is that something that you would consider trying to get on persons with disabilities benefits? Although you would need like a doctor or someone to fill out the forms to do that.
There you go again, right? Like, see what I mean? Like, that's not helpful for someone who's been as damaged as I have been over the years by these so-called public services who don't help me at all. They actually have destroyed my life completely.
Okay. So Victoria, like I'm seeing, as I said, I said two things before, but I think it's actually three things, right? So with the District of Saanich, as I've said, I'm not an expert on how they operate, but I can't imagine if they weren't the ones that damaged your vehicle, that they would be responsible for paying to fix it. I know you were complaining about the police before. That's an authority that we actually can't investigate. There's a separate organization for that, the Office of the Police Complaints Commissioner. And to be quite honest, I don't know if they would have a role with regards to what you've said, but police authorities are just out of our jurisdiction, so I don't know what they're doing, right? And with the Ministry of Social Development, I can contact them if you want to make sure that you're getting everything that you're entitled to, but from what you've told me, it sounds like you probably are. You mentioned you don't want a bus pass, which is like fine, but you can request crisis supplements from time to time if you need them, but if you haven't asked for them, you have to make the ask first, right? And get a response before there's really a role for us. And with the crime victim assistance people, again, from what you've told me, I'm not super clear on what's happened, but if you can find the decision letter, that would make things, I think, a lot clearer, and we can look at whether there might be something for us to do there. Does that all make sense?
Without any financial resources, what I actually need to do is I need to go and start laying criminal charges against all of these public servants and bank solicitors and benchers, and because here's the thing, right? You're not talking about law, you're talking about acts and statutes and bylaws and all that type of stuff. Like you claiming that my survivor pension benefits, that's not an income. It's only income once. When that money gets paid into that trust, once it's then released, it's a benefit. It's not an income. So this is exactly why the poor people here in BC they get treated. What do I say? It doesn't make any sense to me, because I'm a woman of sense, and I got both sides of my brain working at the same time. And all these acts are used to abuse those who need help the most. That's what goes on here in BC, right? There's always a loophole, because this government here is about one thing and one thing only, and that's money. And that means that there's no kindness here. Because it doesn't make any sense that the District of Saanich, who now has collected hundreds of millions of dollars in property tax, can't hand me a couple $1,000s so I can go and take care of my needs. I need emergency dental care, right? And the $450,000 that should be released from the ZFAP program, it's a sexual assault, and then that ended up in a vandalism of private property. I'm not an idiot. I know who does what, and I know why. And I read all the acts and all that garbage. It makes me sick, because it has nothing to do with common sense at all. I had to actually go now because I was abused so many times by social workers that I have now a social worker that I text message, because I will not call up that coven anymore to get more abuse when I do need some help. Boy, you need some help from them, and you are going to be abused. And I'm already extremely vulnerable because of the way I get treated.
Where does the social worker work? For what organization?
Oh, sorry, that's the welfare people. I was abused so badly.
Got it.
Right, yeah.
Have Have you asked them for dental coverage? Because you might qualify for some funding for dental from them.
Well, I'm afraid to ask them for anything because, like I tell you, I get like severely abused, and then when I get abused, I literally shut down and I can't move. I am skin and bones. I'm now a senior. Like, I'm going through something in my life that you have no control over, and I need extra care. And nobody cares. Like, literally nobody. Well, the axe is the axe. I don't care what the axe is. How about some kindness? How about some common sense kindness?
If you're texting with a social worker from the Ministry of Social Development, you just ask that person by text if there's any dental, like how do you go about getting dental?
Well, I was reading on the Kool-Aid the other day there, and that's, oh my gosh, just, yeah, I need specialized care because of the damage that's been done to me.
Okay.
You mean like I need special care, like special care and concern, because I'm not the average everyday individual. And I advocate for myself because it seems that the individuals that I deal with lack understanding. They lack wisdom. You know, they just lack common sense.
Okay. Have you ever had like a designated worker or a community integration specialist from the ministry to help you with some of this?
No.
Okay. Because sometimes what the ministry does is they'll have you paired up with a community integration specialist who can come and visit you where you are so you don't have to go into the ministry office, right? And sort of walk you through a bit how you ask for things like dental coverage. But it sounds like maybe this person that you're connected with is doing something like that.
Well, yeah, because it got to the point where, like, I'm not going to just allow myself to be abused to the point of losing my life, which is exactly what's happening with all these so-called public services, whether it's federal or provincial. Like, I'm not heard and I'm not served according to my culture. In my culture, we're all about kindness. We're not about money. I mean, I shouldn't have to fight this hard to have compensation released from the province of British Columbia, who is generating about $100 billion a year in revenue, and I can't get paid out a proper amount for one of multiple assaults that I endured after I was rendered homeless and destitute, when there was a ban on forced evictions going on, but they're at my house force evicting me? Really? Hey, no, I don't think so.
So like I said, if you can send me the stuff from the crime victim assistance people, I'll take a look at it. Like, I can get it from them, but it'll just take longer than if you just find it and send it to me. That would just be the quickest way if you've got it in your email, to see, what exactly you've asked for and what they've said. And then we can assess, whether that's a reasonable response or not, right? And with, that's kind of what I think we should do, Victoria. If you can find that stuff and send it to me, I'll read it. And with the ministry, just text or call this person that you're in communication with, and ask for these things. Like, I suspect they're not going to give you money to fix your car, but if you need emergency dental work, like that's something they can consider, right? So that's a health issue.
It is a health issue. I'm going to end up with a stroke, a heart attack, or brain damage here. That's what's going to happen. That's the point we're at, because I'm not being taken care of properly by any of the public services here in Canada. None of them care. And I'm not a liar. I know exactly what's going on.
Okay. Okay, so Victoria, just find those emails and send them to me, and then we'll reconnect, okay? What's your phone number right now, just so I know I've got your most current one?
It's 250.
I'm sorry?
250.
250, yeah.
661.
Okay.
0610.
0610. All right. So look, I'm gonna wait till I hear from you, till I get those emails, all right? Until you've talked to someone at the ministry about, getting your dental coverage and stuff, all right?
Okay.
But please send that through to me, and we'll talk again, all right?
Will do. Thanks.
Bye.
Well, how do you like them apples? So why is that thing talking about my house and me not getting my house back? So are you telling me that in Canada now, if you have a mortgage-free home, they can tell us all sorts of lies, the bank can flip the house into their name with those lies, sell it out from under you, and then embezzle the entire amount? And how many times do I need to explain? I don't need to file a probate. I never did. Those are not the legal rules. So is that just not more spin, basically? We don't do anything about police? Yeah, I know that. You don't need to talk to me about that. I already know what you do. Remember, I came to you when my son was being forced adopted, and what did you do about it? And then, of course, we've read the reviews about the ombudsperson, right? All rape victims in Canada receive $500,000. Because, trust me, you don't ever get over it. You can't. You don't. You never get over it. And now Saanich, they're not going to follow their missions and their values about making sure that, your economic health, welfare, and safety are supported here by this private for-profit cabal. Okay, so this is what happens when the living deal with the dead. That's what happens. So now I'm doing a whole bunch more work. That's going to result in what? Because look where I'm at. Look what's been done. I mean, you got to be joking, right? This is nuts. This is beyond the pale, how any woman should be treated.
Okay, well, that was this morning. And as we can see here, this is the mission and values of persons who are doing business as the District of Saanich. Our mission describes both our purpose and our practices. It acknowledges that Saanich serves many stakeholders. Really? So what does that tell you? This is a private for-profit. RICO. That's what that just said to you. That's exactly what this is. And all of their interests are important to us. Oh, okay, so we actually only serve those with their faces feasting from this trough. Our mission also speaks directly to our employees, without whose tremendous effort and contributions we can never achieve our goals. Both our OCP and mission are founded on the values that guided all our actions and decisions. Mission. The mission of the District of Saanich is to enhance the quality of life for citizens, visitors, and future generations in our municipality and the region. We strive to live in harmony with each other and our environment and further our citizens' economic, physical, and social well-being. Values. Honesty, stewardship, consideration, service excellence, loyalty, respect, diligence, responsibility, acceptance, diversity, and inclusion. Now I'm going to read to you the living law. This is the law that applies to all, both righteous and wicked. Every single soul is going to be judged by the living law. Now let's take a look at the living law. It sits on the witness box of every single whorehouse across Canada, trying to make you believe that it's a public service venue. Deuteronomy 15:7. If anyone is poor among you in any of the towns that you have, you do not be hard-hearted and tight-fisted toward them. Let's go for another. Here's the Amplified version. If there are poor among you, any of your neighbors in any of the cities that you are in, you shall not be heartless, nor close-fisted with your neighbor. Contemporary English version. After the king gives land to each of you, there may be poor in the towns where you live. If there are, you don't be mean and selfish with your money. Okay, yeah. This is what you must do whenever there are poor in your cities that your king is giving you. So this is why I am a woman requesting financial assistance from the multi-million-dollar shareholders in a private for-profit, RICO, doing business as the District of Saanich. Let's look what else the living law says. Matthew 5:42, give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Well, I'm not borrowing from you. It would be a gift because you owe me a fiduciary duty, because my spouse and I own land located at 604 Polyanthus Crescent. It's in-trust private property. It's mortgage-free property. It's been stolen by an act of fraud on the court. So an identifiable group here in British Columbia can continue to destroy the housing market for the middle class. They're laundering money through the casinos and the real estate industry, and they're doing it every single fucking day. That's why my land was stolen. 1 John 3:17, if anyone with earthly possessions sees anyone in need but withholds their compassion from them, how can the love of the King of Kings abide in them? Well, hey, who am I dealing with? I'm not dealing with the living. I'm trying to deal with the dead. Exodus 22:25, if you lend anything to one of my people among you who is poor, you must not act as a creditor. You are not to charge them interest. Remember what my Father is all about. He's all about life. He's all about truth. He's all about love. So you cannot serve two masters. If you serve money, then you've chosen death. And all the spawn doing business as the province of British Columbia are choosing death for themselves by continuing to spin me. I'm being spun. Just like Mr. Alan Katz from back east, when all of his money, $1.3 million, was robbed from him in the same fashion that I have been robbed. Deuteronomy 15:11, for there will never cease to be poor, and that is why I am commanding you. This is a commandment. It's not an act. It's not a statute. It's not a fucking code. It's a commandment. That means you don't have an option to not follow this. You open your hand wide. You open your hand wide, and you give freely to the needy among you. Deuteronomy 24:14, do not oppress a hired hand who is poor and needy, whether they are your brother or a foreigner. Right. Oh, well, I'm a foreigner. I'm not from this world. I have Rh negative blood. Scientists will tell you that that blood type has no earthly origin, because it does not. That's why Jesus is telling everybody when he's here, I'm from above. Science hadn't caught up with my brother's level of intelligence at that time. But now that we're living in the end times, we're living at the end of the age, just like Daniel prophesied, knowledge has increased. I mean, what else do I need to tell you? How is this complicated? Because you realize, right, that in the living law, every 7 years, every single debt is wiped out. Because if you don't wipe out those debts, you get the wicked becoming richer and richer and richer. You wipe out your middle class, and then you only have the ultra wicked wealthy, and then you have everyone else. And that's exactly what's happening in Canada right now. It began getting really bad in the 90s. Deuteronomy 59, be aware that there is not a thought in your wicked heart saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and that your eye is evil against the poor, and that you give them nothing. Right? That's why every 7 years all the debts are released. Proverbs 21:13, whoso stops their ear to the cry of the poor, their cry will not be heard. Well, that basically what's that saying is that you're going to hell. And when you cry out, and you will be crying out because you'll be gnashing your teeth, because you will be on fire, you will not be heard. And then you're going to wonder why you're there, but then that's why my people are sent on from above to say something about your behavior and your actions toward the poor. Matthew 18:30. And they would not, but went and cast into prison until they should pay the debt. So that's one of the prophets, one of the prosecutors constantly talking about hell. They all talk about hell. Every single one of them talks about hell. Moses talks about hell. Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Jesus, they all talk about hell. Because we're the ones who arrive here with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that hell is real. And that 94 to 96%, if the population is on their way there, and they are traveling that wide road that leads to destruction because they're only about one thing and one thing only, and that's about the fucking mad monkey monopoly money. The mad monkey monopoly money that has absolutely no value at all, but they're all about it. So that's why I keep going into the district of Saanich to see the stakeholders who are robbing the poor in the district so the rich can get richer, using our stolen land to money launder. And now my single family dwelling is now a commercial property. Do I really need to explain this some more? Because I've got documents that I can continue to go through and explain to you and show you exactly how a trust works. A trust quashes all third-party claims, including those of a bank. There was no mortgage on my home. It was mortgage-free. There was a credit line. That's not a mortgage. It's $40,000.